How about them Cowboys? Let's talk about I'm not going to do any predictions today, really. I've given predictions already. Check it out on the podcast. If you do the live tab on this channel, we do the podcast live every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Where I gave my extended thoughts on how I think things will go in the NFC East. But this isn't what I think is going to happen. This is what I could see happening in a positive way, and how I could see this going off the rails if things don't go exactly as planned. So there are several things to talk about, but one thing we have to start off with is there's not really a high ceiling season in and season out for Dak Prescott, I don't think. I think Prescott is a player that we know what he can do well and what he can do poorly. Although, while I say season in and season out, he's been pretty consistent. Game in and game out, he definitely has had his ups and downs. And I guess if we're talking the ceiling argument, could it be a thing where he gets hot at the right time? And that's kind of the way that if you want to talk yourself into the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl, it's probably unlikely you're going to see a Patrick Mahomes-esque dragging his team to the Super Bowl and winning it. But perhaps maybe the way it works is more of a Rams with Matthew Stafford thing of, plays well during the regular season, but then takes the next step in the big moments. Again, a lot of guys you could say that about could be great in the big moments, but as of right now, realistically, I think even, because again, I'm trying to think realistically, not just what I could see a 1% chance of happening. I think realistically, he's probably just going to be the same Dak Prescott we're used to. The other thing that I definitely feel like has a lot of volatility is the receiving core. I mean, you could talk yourself into this end up being a great receiving core this season if things work out. CeeDee Lamb, he'll be good. That we feel good about. Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, and Jake Ferguson are, in my opinion, kind of all wild cards. Now, Cooks has been pretty consistent year in and year out, so that's good. You like guys who are consistent. He's also not even 30 yet. He's only 29. I feel like people don't realize that. And while you would say that I'm a little concerned about him moving to a new team, at the same time, he has played in, for several different teams now at this point. Guy gets traded all the time. So this is nothing new for him. But still, while those things haven't been an issue in the past, it could be an issue in the future. It's possible. The flip side is maybe now that he's having, being in a better situation, we'll see even better from him. And Michael Gallup, who I didn't think looked great coming off of an injury last year, maybe he could return to form and be like a really good number 2 option. And you could have CeeDee Lamb, who's a number 1, Brandon Cooks, who at his best is a number 1, and Michael Gallup, who at his best is a number 2. And even Jake Ferguson, I feel like has shown real flashes and maybe in a bigger role could be a very good starting caliber tight end. And you could have 4 great options for Prescott. That is something that definitely I can see happening. I don't think that's crazy to expect, so it's just an interesting situation there. The offensive line is another way where this could go very good or very bad, specifically with the Tyron Smith health thing. When Tyron Smith, when healthy, is still a very effective tackle in the league. And, people talk about him like he's 37 or something. He's 32. For offensive linemen, you're typically still effective at that time. For me, it's more so just he only played 271 snaps last year. If you give me 1,000 snaps of Tyron Smith, you could argue this is one of the best offensive lines in the league. But if you don't give me that, that's when I start to get a little bit concerned. So definitely some volatility there in both directions. For the defense, I think what is Mazi Smith going to do year one? He was the first round rookie, where a lot of people kind of talked about that draft pick as a reach. I really didn't see it that way. I like him enough that I'm fine with drafting him in that spot. And if he can come in and do what they hope he can do, that could really help out the run defense, which on paper is a bit of a concern. But if they get him, a healthy Leighton Vander Esch to kind of help out the very good edge rushers, and help out that middle area that is a bit of a weakness, well, this could turn it into at least a solid run defense. However, again, the flip side is if we don't see that, there could still be some real issues in the run defense game, because as great as DeMarcus Lawrence and as Micah Parsons are, they are edge rushers at the end of the day. When you're running the ball, you can just run it up the middle and avoid those guys if you choose to. The other thing about the defense is you have two guys, Trayvon Diggs and Stephon Gilmore. I put them both in my top 10 cornerback rankings last year. I did, or as in this offseason I did, because, listen, the Trayvon Diggs thing is so fascinating because he is someone who obviously it was such a interesting talking point not year one, but his second year in the league, after the 2021 season where he led the league in interceptions, was given an all-pro, which I still don't think was fully fair because he gave up a ton of yards and wasn't a great coverage corner. To me, I thought that he showed a lot of flashes, and I compared him to Marcus Peters early on in his career, and much like Peters, Diggs has grown into a very good cover corner, and I think despite the fact that the interceptions were down, actually had a better season in 2022. And then Gilmore, listen, Gilmore's older in age, but and he's had some injuries as well, so that's the concerning thing, is simply just the age and the injuries. But when he's been out there, he's always been good. Like, he was very good for the Colts. He was good in his short stint with the Panthers as well, and obviously he was amazing with the New England Patriots. So if those two guys are good, which I'm betting on, this could be one of the best secondaries in football. However, again, what is the floor? The floor is that Stephon Gilmore is old, Diggs gives up too many yards and bites too much on double moves, and now all of a sudden you have a bad secondary. And this is a bad secondary, it's a bad football team, I think. I think that if this team can't cover, Parsons and Lawrence will help out, but there's this narrative that if you have a good pass rush, it's easier to cover. It's easier, but if you can't cover, you're not going to be successful. You're just not in today's NFL. And I don't know if again, will the offense be high-powered enough to make up for it? Probably enough to make it at least, I think I said bad football team. That would be harsh, but probably not enough to make them a contender with a bad secondary, I don't think. So what is the floor? To me, the floor of this team is the secondary weapons behind CeeDee Lamb don't live up to their potential. Ferguson looks like kind of a backup caliber tight end. Brandon Cooks maybe takes a step back due to age, and Michael Gallup still doesn't fully recover from that injury. You get another Tyron Smith hurt season, and now all of a sudden the offense I still don't think would be a disaster, but maybe isn't great. And the one thing I haven't mentioned is McCarthy taking back play calling could be a disaster. And if you add on all of those things, well, I still think an offense of CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Tony Pollard with a good offensive line, even if without Tyron Smith, will still be a above average offense. It's going to take a step back. I think it could take a step back if all those things go poorly. And when you throw on, if Diggs or Gilmore, if just one of them doesn't work out, because I don't love their depth, to be honest, at the cornerback position, then that could be a big disaster as well. The other thing is, the run defense could be, there's some concerns there. So what is their floor? That's their floor, is all those things could go wrong. But I don't think all of those things, or even a chunk of those things, will go wrong. I think that, if I had to bet on each one of those things, I probably would bet on, maybe only one or two of them actually going wrong, like the Tyron Smith injury thing. That's one I'm not sure how I would bet. Or the run defense, I'm not sure how I would bet, but I'm betting on the coverage to do well. I had it as a tier 1 coverage in my predictions video. I'm betting on the receiving core to look better this year. And if that does happen, if Tyron Smith is healthy, this receiving core is awesome, the run defense is not a disaster, and the coverage is awesome, I don't see why this team couldn't be contending for a Super Bowl in that weak NFC. I don't see that. I don't see why at all they couldn't be doing that. They absolutely could. There's tons of, there's not a lot of talent in the NFC as is, not a lot of, high upside teams. But for Dallas, yeah, if their receiving core is awesome, their secondary is awesome. Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. They have an elite running back, really, elite offensive line, elite pass rush. Like, the only real issue they would have is, I guess, they don't have the elite quarterback play and they don't have elite run defense. I'll live with that for sure. Their upside is absolutely Super Bowl contender. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.